It's time for Overtime.
I think I'm ready for this.
Heck yeah.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
It's in the left center field. That's hit well. That'll split the gap.
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Welcome into the Friday edition of Overtime. We've made it to the end of the week. The Minnesota Timberwolves have punched their way to a Game 7. I was wrong. I know. Congrats, Minnesota fans. And right now, a toss-up in Game 7 heading your way on Sunday. Time to be determined. The Timberwolves had their moment in the sun. The issue is it lasted only until the sun came up because golf has taken center stage. Not only is it a gigantic weekend, a major from Louisville, Kentucky, but we have the most weird, obscure story involving golf number one in the world, Scottie Scheffler, to share with you today, to react to get you the latest details of, to share with you, because the Timberwolves were going to be the big story. I still have a lot of the show devoted to Minnesota, what they're likely to do in Game 7, the whooping they put on the Denver Nuggets last night in Game number 6, winning on their home floor in the series. Finally, Game 7 still to be determined coming up on Sunday. But Scottie Scheffler, Jeff Darlington, Louisville PD, Valhalla Country Club, and everything there surrounding the PGA Championship this weekend has erupted with news, with drama, with concern, with unfortunate circumstances and tragic circumstances as well. Scottie Scheffler involved, arrested, booked into jail there on 1 felony, 3 misdemeanors. He's out. He's playing golf. But man, oh man, what a weird situation. What a tragic situation that unfolded in the hours prior to that, including a pedestrian being struck by a transit bus there near Valhalla Country Club. Very strange situation. We'll get to the nuts and bolts of it very soon here as we open up this Friday, May 17th edition of Overtime. We got a jam-packed show on a Friday, a lot to get to. We'll be talking Sioux Falls Canaries baseball here in about 15 minutes with the general manager of the Canaries, Duell Higbe, swinging by the show. USF Softball season recap. Head Coach Erin Bly joins us around 11:30. We'll be talking about the Timberwolves, the latest odds for Game 7, and how much they moved the needle, how much they shook up the narrative that the Denver Nuggets were unstoppable. I fed into that. I bought in to Denver dominating the Timberwolves. Mike Conley comes back, different story. Timberwolves punched their ticket to a Game 7 in Denver, just as Anthony Edwards said that they would. He's a man of his word. Anthony Edwards there with Minnesota. Hour number 2, high noon showdown in headlines. Your first opportunity of the day to win big. Second opportunity right after that, the Friday Parlay Live. We posted up about 12:20, 12:25. As promised, we'll break down the Green Bay Packers schedule. It's a really interesting schedule for Green Bay, and I've had small bones to pick. They didn't really materialize into anything like most of them ever do when it comes to fans picking through their team schedules. Year in and year out, I've got, oh man, an early bye. Oh man, a late bye. An international game without a bye week next to it. Man, that stinks. There's not a whole lot to dislike this year about the Green Bay Packers schedule. We'll take you through it around 12:30, and then we'll be hearing from FanDuel betting analyst Simon Bray ahead of the Preakness, the 149th running of the Preakness coming up this weekend. Best bets, worst bets, an early scratch that is shaking up the field, and a much smaller field of horses racing in Baltimore over the weekend. FanDuel betting analyst Simon Bray, your best bets to send you going into the weekend here on Overtime. As always, let's dive into the scorecard. First things first, NHL hockey last night, Stanley Cup playoffs. The Rangers have played with their food a little bit too long as they've kept the Carolina Hurricanes in the series. Last night was 3-2 advantage Rangers in Raleigh heading into that one, and New York finished the job last night and sent the Canes home at home.
3 seconds to go, and it is over. The Rangers win. The Rangers win and advance to the Final Four. Wow! What a comeback!
5-3 the final for New York, winning in Raleigh in game number 6. They win the series 4-2. Head coach Peter Laviolette saying his team delivered when they needed him to.
When our back was up against the wall going into the third period, the players in that room delivered against a really good hockey team. And we were able to find ourselves to be able to score goals and now move on to the conference finals.
The other series last night that added a game at number 5 onto it. No way that anyone was going to finish up the series last night, but north of the border in Vancouver, Edmonton and the Canucks go back and forth. This one a good one, down to the wire with Vancouver escaping with the win on home ice.
Face-off outside the Vancouver blue line. Miller wins the face-off forward all the way down, and that is going to do it! What an effort for the Vancouver Canucks tonight inside Rogers Arena. JT Miller scores the winning goal in the final minute of the third period. And the Canucks have pushed the heavily favored Edmonton Oilers to the brink, and they can win the series in Alberta on Saturday night.
3-2 the series lead for Vancouver. That audio courtesy of SN 650. Tonight in the NHL, we got a pair of game 6s going on. Panthers at Bruins from Boston, 6 o'clock on TNT. Florida leads that series 3-2. Backs have been against the wall for a while for the Colorado Avalanche. They're on home ice tonight, playing host to the Dallas Stars. Game 6, Dallas with a 3-2 series lead. That is a 9 o'clock estimated puck drop once again from Denver. NBA Finals last night. It's time to dance. It's time to hoop and holler if you're a Timberwolves fan and say, welcome back to the floor, Mike Conley.
Now in the hands of Mike Conley. Step back 3. On its way. Yes! Demolition. Game 6. Minnesota largest lead. 29 here in Game 6.
If you thought that was going to come, I want to call you a liar. Not the Timberwolves win, but the way they won last night, 115-70. I haven't looked it up yet, but I would venture a guess that is the lowest scoring output in the Nikola Jokic era in which Jokic was playing in the game from the jump. It's pretty darn disappointing for Denver. Here is what Michael Malone has to say moving forward for his team.
We have to do a better job of spacing, reacting, and then the bottom line is that they're going to put 2 on the ball. We got to make them pay, and we didn't do that tonight. So they can just stay with that over and over and over again. And just like in Game 5, we put 2 on Ant, and they didn't make us pay, and it was effective. Tonight it wasn't. So the good thing is we'll go home, again, watch this film and understand there are going to be things that we can do differently from a game plan standpoint. But to me, the much bigger issue is we have to do a lot better job of being locked in and ready to play in a Game 7. And again, those are the 2 greatest words in sports, Game 7. So hopefully our guys in front of an amazing crowd will be ready to go when we have the intangibles the way we've had them for the last 3 games prior to tonight.
Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone, extraordinarily disappointing performance for his team, 115-70, the loss to Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, fantastic again, 27 points. Mike Conley was big. Jaden McDaniels was big. Minnesota comes to play, locks it down, puts the clamps down on the Nuggets, and now I'm not even going to make a guess for Game 7 coming up. I might later in the show, but I don't feel good about either team right now. I feel great about the Timberwolves. I felt great about them earlier in the series. They made me wrong. I felt great about Denver following winning 3 straight. They led me astray this past night as well. I don't know where to go for Game 7, and frankly, if you do, hat tip to you because I have no idea what to expect the rest of the way. Denver Game 7 coming up Sunday. It is to be determined the start time because we got a TBD game that may or may not take place. Game 7, Indiana and the Knicks scheduled for Sunday as well. But again, Game 6 for that one coming up tonight. Speaking of that contest, Game 6, 7:30 ESPN tonight. The Knicks have a 3-2 series advantage. And when it comes to the historical aspect of the win, potential win in the series for the Knicks, head coach Tom Thibodeau had this to say.
Just locked into this game. That's all we're thinking about. What do we have to do to win this game? So I think if you take care of all the steps along the way, then good things come from that. But when you start glossing over to the next step and what comes after, you're making a big mistake because that takes the focus off the task at hand. And I think the task at hand is locking into what we have to do to win this next game in Indiana.
And again, the next game, Game 6 tonight, 7:30 on ESPN, with the Knicks with a 3-2 series advantage. Saturday night, 7 o'clock on ABC, Game 6, Thunder at Mavericks. Dallas looking to close that one out. Again, 7 o'clock ABC Saturday night. Sunday, to be determined, Timberwolves and Nuggets. But again, some people do have an idea. They do have a guess as to who will win. Here's what Michelle Smallman had to say this morning on what side she's taking in a pivotal Game 7.
Denver is a dominant team. They're the defending champs, and you've got the defending MVP that you have to contend with. And just like I said, I knew Anthony Edwards was going to punch back and Minnesota was going to punch back. You don't expect that from Denver as well?
I do. I expect Denver to win a Game 7 at home.
I feel like our emotional pendulum keeps swinging pretty vastly in this series. So which side of the road do we feel like is the proper side to stand on as we go to Game 7? Because I have to tell you, after last night, I think Minnesota's going to take this thing.
And again, some people confident in Minnesota, other people confident in the defending champs at home. Game 7 MVP, Jamal Murray a little dinged up. We'll wait and see exactly what the injury news looks like. But again, all bets are off. They're actually all on for this one for Game 7. But my guess is as good as yours right now for what side I'd lean between Denver and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Moving forward, Major League Baseball from yesterday. Twins got swept by the Yankees 5-0. The final in Game 3 of the series. Joe Ryan takes the loss. It's his third of the season. Pittsburgh won in Chicago over the Cubs 5-4. Chicago's record 25-20. And Cincinnati puts the finishing touches on the Dodgers in L.A. 7-2 the final there. Today and tonight in Major League Baseball, Pirates and Cubs, 1:20 the start time there. White Sox at Yankees, Twins at Guardians, 5:30 start time for the pregame coverage, 6:10 the official game start. You can watch it on Apple TV+. Other matchups, Royals are home to the A's, Brewers visit the Astros, Cardinals home to the Red Sox, Diamondbacks host the Tigers, Rockies out in San Francisco to battle the San Francisco Giants. Twins weekend schedule. Again, the times tonight, 6:10, the broadcast start time of the game. 5:30 is pregame coverage on ESPN Sioux Falls. Weekend schedule in Cleveland, Saturday, 4:30 pregame, 5:10 first pitch. And Sunday, it's a noon pregame start with a 12:40 game start time. AL Central standings as we get it going into the weekend. Cleveland, 1.5 games better than Kansas City. Guardians are 27-17. Kansas City, 26-19. Twins just 2.5 games back, 24-19, the latest record following the 3-game sweep at the hands of the New York Yankees, followed by Detroit and the Chicago White Sox to round out the AL Central. Now let's get you to the golf news, the weird news from Valhalla, from Louisville PD, Scotty Scheffler, world number 1. Here is the latest from Jeff Darlington, who was actually at the scene. He describes it very well. Top-notch reporting from Darlington in regards to this weird situation this morning in Louisville.
Entering Valhalla Golf Club this morning, we witnessed a car pull around us that was Scotty Scheffler was in the car. To be very clear about the details here, Scotty Scheffler has been detained by police officers, placed in the back of a police vehicle in handcuffs after he tried to pull around what he believed to be security, ended up being police officers. They told him to stop. When he didn't stop, the police officer attached himself to the vehicle. Scheffler then traveled another 10 yards before stopping the car. The police officer then grabbed at his arm, attempting to pull him out of the car before Scheffler eventually opened the door, at which point the police officer pulled Scheffler out of the car, pushed him up against the car, and immediately placed him in handcuffs.
Tremendously ugly situation, and there's a lot of details here. We'll dive into it with the official ESPN.com article later in the show. We got to take a break here in a moment, but again, Scotty Scheffler officially arrested 4 different charges, 1 felony charge, 3 misdemeanor charges allegedly there, working on official confirmation. But Scheffler, again, arrested for some traffic-related incidents and also not listening to the orders of the officer. But to be clear, everything going on in this scene was so chaotic, so in flux. Apparently, construction in the area. There was also a death of a pedestrian earlier in the morning after a transport vehicle made contact with the individual. Very tragic news there. Police were on hand. There were construction workers there. All sorts of different directions and a lot of cloudiness as far as the overall situation went, that Scheffler, other golfers looking to get there to the clubhouse for pre-round workouts, pre-round breakfast, whatever it might be there. Regardless, on your way to Valhalla as the number one golfer in the world, you hop around, try to get through traffic the way you went the day before, traffic flowing differently, didn't know it was a police officer, didn't know exactly what he was asking him to do. Very confusing situation and a strange situation that results in the arrest of Scottie Scheffler this morning. He is playing golf right now. He was released later on this morning, and here's what he had to say via Instagram as we go to break. This morning, I was proceeding as directed by police officers. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier in the morning, and there was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of this involved in the tournament, all of us involved in the tournament, express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away earlier in the accident this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective. But man, oh man, what a weird, strange, confusing situation and tragic situation from Louisville unfolding this morning. Valhalla Country Club, world number one Scottie Scheffler arrested, 4 different charges, booked in, orange jumpsuit and everything, and now back on the course, golfing day number 2 from Valhalla. World never disappoints. The sports world, no exception either. We'll dive into that more later in the show. Coming up now, Sioux Falls Canaries GM Duell Higbe joins us next on Overtime.
Don't miss a moment of local college and pro sports action. Stay connected and download the app for Overtime on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO.
Right back with you on this Friday, May 17th edition of Overtime. There's always a lot to do this time of year. Weekends in the Sioux Empire. You can hit the golf course. You can head out to the bike trail. You can do all sorts of things outside. But maybe, in fact, probably the coolest thing you could do this weekend is the home opening weekend for Sioux Falls Canaries baseball. Been a long off season. Everybody chomping at the bit to get out to the birdcage. And we'll be talking about that and more. Canaries are off to a 4-2 start and starting game number 7. Their home opener tonight at the birdcage as they will face off with Fargo Moorhead. Joining us now on the ESPN hotline, Canaries General Manager Duell Higbe. Duell, I know it's been a long offseason, a lot of anticipation and excitement ahead of getting this thing going, especially at home here in Sioux Falls. How you been? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bert. It's as you said, it's been a long offseason, capitalizing on last year's successes, making the playoffs, brought back a lot of our star players. I think we have 16, 17 returning guys, and then added a handful of new guys that have really made an impact on the season here so far. So it's, like you said, 4-2. It's always tough to start on the road, but we're back home, baby, and could be more excited to kick off our home opener here tonight.
You know, Matt Zimmer, obviously, Argus leader of the past, Sioux Falls Live. Now, I'm staring at an article right now about your team and about the roster and the local aspects of the roster. He calls it the largest collection of local talent that they've ever assembled. Is that true? And let us in on some of the local flair on the roster this year, different than years past.
It is, yeah. I think, Augustana, USF, even a lot of these players in the NSIC have been really, really successful in our league. I think we have, four guys right now: Tanner Brown, Seth Miller, from Augustana. We have Josh Raywalt back. He played with us. He started his professional career in 2019 with us, went over to the Frontier League, absolutely destroyed it. He's back playing left field, actually just hit 2 home runs, all of them over 440 feet last night. And then how could I forget our shortstop? Should have been Rookie of the Year last year, Jordan Barr, 300 hitter, just plays a sound defense. It's really, really been advantageous for us to have all this talent in our backyard, and we're able to get good eyeballs on them before we actually sign them. And they've made a really good impact on our roster here so far.
And I know Sioux Falls loves their Canaries. Very happy to have them in their backyard as well. It all starts tonight with the home opener. 4-2 the start. Talk to us about the road start. Obviously, if you had the choice, you probably would open the season at home because excitement's at its peak. But you're 4-2 so far on the road. You're off to a good start, and I think people are really excited to see all these local faces and familiar faces back at home at the Birdcage.
Yeah, absolutely. I always prefer to start at home, I guess. As an operator, I love having them on the road. It gives us an extra week to get the ballpark ready, get all the finishing touches on. We're still doing that as we speak, but no, players want to start at home, but we didn't this year. We took the long road trip over to Wisconsin and the Chicagoland, faced Lake Country Doghounds, and then the Kane County Cougars swept the first series in 1-2 against Kane County. Kane County is a good club. That's a tough place to play. It is an absolute graveyard. We made it look small yesterday, but it's a really tough place to hit, and we rebounded in Game 3 yesterday. So we're coming in after, I think we hit 4 or 5 home runs yesterday, coming back into the friendly hitter confines of the Birdcage here tonight. Really, we got six days in a row of baseball and a handful of day games as well next week if you're looking for an excuse to get out of work. But tonight, our ever-popular Friday night fireworks show immediately after the game. It's a 15 to 20-minute, really, really incredible show. It's not just because I'm the one personally shooting them off. That's not the reason. It really is great. Saturday, we got a Preakness night, so some horse racing going on. Sunday, family fun day. Get on out. Kids run the bases after the game. If you come early, you can go on the field, play catch with your kiddos. Get autographs after the game, and then school day, kids day on Monday. We got the zoo mobile out, so come out and see your favorite snakes and reptiles, and who knows what they're going to have. So it's just a lot of fun to kick off our 50-game home schedule here this week.
And I can speak personally as the father of a young family, young kiddos. The place to go, the Birdcage, each and every year. Several events last year we made it out to. And again, big games, big events all the time with the Canaries. You guys have a couple big music festivals. We had those individuals that promote those, brought those here on the show recently. That's very exciting. But what else on the schedule is new and different this year in conjunction with those two big music festivals later this summer?
Yeah, we have a ton of new promotions coming out here this year. It's the 20th anniversary of not Ron Burgundy, Anchorman. We're calling it I Am Ron Burgundy.
We are so old. We are so old, by the way. 20 years.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Major League, we got Give 'em the Heater night. We got a Ricky Vaughn bobblehead we're going to be giving away. I'm a bobblehead nut. I'm super excited about that one. Our Christmas in July is an ode to my personal favorite Christmas movie, The Santa Claus. We got Tim Allen with his belly hanging out. It's not a bobblehead, it's a bobble belly, believe it or not. So
wow.
It's going to be popular, too. Seinfeld night, Area 51 night, Classic Cars night. Just a heck of a lot of fun. And we got some new happenings here at the Birdcage as well. Boss's Pizza's in-house. We got For Real milkshakes. And the best part about that, too, we got a new liquor license here this year, so we're able to add a little fun to those milkshakes and spice them up a little bit. So lots of cool things, lots of new things around the ballpark you can check out just above and beyond it, and stuff in the food and beverage stands. So if you got nothing to do this weekend, it looks like an absolutely gorgeous night here tonight. Come on out and take in some ball and some posting fireworks.
Sioux Falls Canaries General Manager Duell Higbe, our guest here, Friday edition of Overtime. You can find more on the Canaries, including tickets and ticket details, sfcanaries.com. To wax poetic a little bit more about the changes there at the Birdcage, I think I saw that either the place to buy alcoholic beverages, as in beer, has moved. Is that accurate? And where is it now for those adults out there looking to get out and enjoy a beer or two?
Well, that's right. Our right field tiki bar, that's a popular place. That has stayed. We do have it under a tent now, so we can get away from the sun a little bit, get under some shade. But we moved our third base bar, sponsored by Take 16, thank you guys, up to the berm area, so you can actually belly up, turn around, watch the game while you're having a nice cold beverage. So that is also has a tent over the top of it. Got some pub tables and pub chairs over there too. So it's going to be a really, really relaxing place to to catch a different angle of the game and enjoy a nice little Miller Lite.
Absolutely true. Sioux Falls Canaries open up the home slate of the schedule beginning tonight. Fargo-Moorhead in town. It's fireworks night. A lot to look forward to this season. Fans expecting a lot of fireworks off the bats of the Canaries tonight and throughout the weekend and beyond. Sioux Falls Canaries GM Duell Higbe, our guest. Lastly, Duell, before we let you go, always appreciate the insight into the on-the-field, off-the-field operations side of Canaries baseball. What's the best way to connect with you guys? What's the best way to get tickets? What would you recommend for people coming out for the first time this year, first time ever, or back and better for more and more?
Yeah, well, we make it super, super easy. Online, sfcanaries.com/tickets. You can get your tickets ahead of time. Get them 24 hours before game time. You save 10% on all those. If you want to come out for more than one game, which we hope you do, we have a lot of different ticket packages. You got a 10-pack flex ticket. Best, most affordable way to buy them. You use them all at once. You use them however you want, but you can get the same seat for all those 10 games. But my personal favorite, we got a 10-pack all-inclusive flex book as well. So Get your 10 tickets, get all your food and beverage included with that for a really good price. So check it all out on our website, sfcanaries.com, under our ticket tab. Got all the information right there. If not, give our friendly sales guys a call here in the office, and they'd be happy to walk you through it all.
There you have it, sfcanaries.com. It's simple on Twitter, @Canaries, if you want to engage with the best pro baseball team here in the 605 and beyond. Sioux Falls Canaries home opener tonight. It's Fargo-Moorhead rolling in for fireworks night, and the Canaries off to another great start, 4-2 on the season. That's Canaries general manager Duell Higbe. Duell, it's always a blast. I wish you one heck of a season, my friend. We'll see you out at the Birdcage before too long.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for the time, Bert.
All right, that's Duell Higbe, general manager of the Sioux Falls Canaries. Another good start to the season. Playoff team last year, 4-2. And it's always fun on the field, off the field, to be out at the Birdcage. Such a great spot here in the 605. More details, ticketing, flex packs, all-inclusive tickets. Are you kidding? They got it all. sfcanaries.com, @Canaries on Twitter. We take the break. We're switching up from baseball to softball. Coming up next, USF head softball coach Erin Bly on to recap their season and so much more. Back after this on Overtime.
It's so convenient. Go. Download the free app now. This is ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you on this Friday, May 17th edition of Overtime. Appreciate you being with us all week long right here on your Sioux Falls sports leader, ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. We just got done talking some Canaries baseball ahead of the home opening series that begins tonight. Fargo-Moorhead at the Birdcage. Sioux Falls Canaries GM Duell Higbe. We're shifting gears, but not too much. We're heading over to the softball world now, where USF Cougar Softball recently wrapped up the season, 20-28 the overall record, but I'm sure a lot of growth and progress with the program. Joined now by Coach Erin Bly of USF Cougar Softball. Coach, it's always great to have you. How you been? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love being on this show and been really good. Not, the ending to the season that we hoped, but like you said, a lot of growth and progress was made. So, feeling good about some things.
When you're talking about and looking at your team, obviously we'll get to the departees and those that are moving on via graduation, transfer, or otherwise, and those that are coming back. It's always a puzzle to piece together every offseason. But when you look at this season in general, what are some big bright spots that you take away that has the program in good shape for 2024, 25, and beyond?
Yeah, I think, as a coach, you always hope that when you're coming into a rebuild, the first thing is you always want to compete. And that's one thing this group has shown is that they absolutely compete. Now we just have to figure out how to compete consistently and compete with some of those teams that are perennial top of the conference. So takeaways from the core is that we absolutely have foundation to compete with. Now we just got to, fill in some missing pieces and compete consistently with the top.
And obviously a lot to look forward to. 20-28, the overall record for USF Cougar Softball. Coach, is there a stretch or a series or a sequence of games this year that you look back on and say, that's what I want for this program moving forward? What comes to mind with that?
Yeah, I think for us, this may be an interesting answer, but for us, it was the Duluth and Augustana series. I mean, Duluth, Augustana, Winona, Concordia, St. Paul, perennial top opponents in our league, right? And although we only came away with one win, I think we grew the most in those weeks because we understood what it's going to take to get there, right? Yeah, and we really, for the transition of the program, that was a big question with kids either wanting to come back or maybe find a better fit with a program is a question they had to answer. Is, do I want to, put in the work it's going to take to compete with those teams? And I think, with the returners coming back and those that we've recruited, that answer is yes. So that's exciting, to build upon for years to come.
Coach, when it comes to the returners and those that are moving on from the program, graduation, transfer, or otherwise, let us behind the curtain a little bit on what you know and what you're willing to share on the roster as it takes shape for next year and beyond.
Yeah, so, I mean, the roster is going to look drastically different next year. And I think for me as a coach, it's always about the right cultural fit. And in today's age with the transfer portal and, all those different NIL deals, I think the landscape looks a lot different for every team. And it's not as taboo to depart and move between teams that it may have been, way back when I played. And I think that's okay. And I think we're kind of getting rid of that stigmatism and encouraging people to find paths and places that fit well with who they are and what they want. And I think, the college programs are doing the same thing. So we definitely have a much different look, but one that's rooted in competing and really putting USF. Some of our big goals is, beating that all-time win record with 35 and being top 5 in conference. That would actually be the first time we've ever done that as a program. So those are the things that we're shooting for next year with that new group.
USF Cougar Softball head coach Erin Bly, our guest here. Friday edition of Overtime. Recently wrapped up the season 20-28 overall. For all things USF Cougar Softball, it's easy. USFCougars.com, the place to go. Coach, when it comes to off-season goals and how you personally and your staff are planning to attack the offseason, let us through into that a little bit in terms of the recruiting, the game study, game film, and your observation of the sport from the broad scopes. Are you heading out to some softball at the high school level? How are you planning to attack this offseason ahead of it getting started here?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, Iowa's going into their season, so we'll definitely be watching some Iowa games and going out to those high schools. We're also really targeting the JUCO scene. We actually have quite a few recruits coming in that are at JUCO Nationals this upcoming week in Alabama, so that's really exciting. So we have a few more pieces we think we might want to shape up for 2024, even coming in this fall. So we're definitely doing that. And then also really exciting is just going out to all the different travel ball premier leagues and watching there. But yeah, we really are pretty diversified in how we attack recruiting. We're just looking for the best players that want to come represent, the University of Sioux Falls. So we're excited to get started, but kind of a little bit of everything, I would say, but definitely we'll be on the road.
Coach, we talked a little bit about that roster, and you mentioned it's going to be a lot different. But among those that are coming back, highlight a few individuals that will be back next year and that'll probably be a leader for your team.
Yeah, so I think two of our top performers in Allie Nauman, she was our all-conference outfielder, leadoff hitter. She'll be back, kind of leading the outfielders. And then our number one pitcher who won us 13 of those 20 wins is coming back as a junior. So her, along with some junior college kids that we've brought in from pretty successful programs like DMAC and some of the JUCO scenes, will have a pretty strong and pretty good depth in our pitching staff next year. But those two will definitely be highlighting who's coming back and giving us some power from experience.
Lastly, Coach, before we let you go, I always appreciate the time checking in with you preseason, during season, after season. Always appreciate you making yourself available to us and letting us kind of dive into this program with you that you recently took over. So I'm going to ask you this: state of the program, what's really good, what needs work, and what you see in the next 6 months and year for the program there here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, I love that question too, because what's really good right now is we've got the right core. We got kids who want to compete. We got kids who want to change history at USF, and they have their why. So that's going really, really well. Things we're really looking forward to is just filling the skill gaps. I mean, 20 and 28, we're proud of what we accomplished, in our first season, when we lost quite a bit of the starters from the previous season, but, we're not satisfied with that. So, and we had a little bit of a skills gap. So we've shored that up. So really looking forward to competing and putting a better performance against the Augustanas, which, by the way, we wish them, sort of the best of luck in Orlando going into nationals. But so in the future is just, changing the face of who we are. Instead of, being bottom half, we want to be top half and be the best with our size of school and what we can offer in the region. So that's our goal, and it's a lofty one, but I think we got the right group and all the support from USF, so we're really excited about what's to come.
It's a very exciting future, and Coach, I always appreciate the time that you give us, and how about that for some cooperation? You're rooting for Augustana. I have to say bravo to that, because I am as well. Go Augie, go USF. We got to support each other and support Sioux Falls and South Dakota. So, Coach, always appreciate the time, the candid answers, and everything in between. Best of luck this offseason, and we'll be talking to you before too long, before next season rolls around. Thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
All right, USF Softball recently concluded that season 20 and 28. That's USF Softball head coach Erin Bly here on the Friday edition of Overtime. By the way, we didn't have time to dive into it in the headlines, but certainly headline worthy. We got to it yesterday. Augustana Softball on to the national championships down in Orlando, Florida, and we got Augie baseball with a win in game number 1 of the regional. So much success this year for Augie, USF, USD, SDSU, and it's been so fun to follow along and continue to follow along baseball, softball, college level here in the Mount Rushmore State. We'll take the break, come back, talk Timberwolves. They moved the needle. They shook up the Nuggets. They're ready for Game 7. We'll give you the odds, the latest things you need to know from the NBA. And before long, we'll be giving you the prizes out here. High Noon Showdown, headlines, Friday Parlay, and so much more on the way. It's the Friday edition of Overtime right here on ESPN Sioux Falls.
College hoops and NBA basketball, the NFL and Major League Baseball. It's all here on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Ramin back here with you, set to put a bow on hour number 1. Already 2 great guests here on the show today. Sioux Falls Canaries General Manager Duell Higbe, and moments ago, we chatted with USF Cougar Head Softball Head Coach Erin Bly. You miss any interviews or any segments on the show, you want to listen back, ESPNSiouxFalls.com, the place to go, or on your mobile device. It's easy, simple, and free, most importantly free, the ESPN Sioux Falls mobile app. Now, all things basketball. Yes, we'll get to the Timberwolves. You should have had your moment in the sun. You only got a couple hours before the Scottie Scheffler news took that over from the PGA Championship down in Louisville, Kentucky. Basketball time first. Caitlin Clark didn't have the game that we thought she would last night in the home opener for the WNBA's number 1 overall draft pick. Caitlin Clark took to the newly designed floor for the Indiana Fever last night, along with 3 other WNBA number 1 draft picks, 2 past MVPs, and the players she watched closely throughout high school. In the Fever's home opener, a sellout crowd of more than 17,000 folks showed up for the Clark's official intro to Indianapolis fans at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indy. But the New York Liberty, one of 2 franchises dubbed super teams last season, along with Las Vegas, did their part to spoil the party, beating up the Fever last night. Lopsided game, 102-66 the final. We've got to get to a level of toughness, Indiana coach Christy Side said. When things are going south on us, we're not stopping the bleeding. Clark, a lot to be desired. The team, a lot to be desired last night for the Fever. 9.7 rebounds and 6 assists, including shooting 2 of 8 from the field last night in the home opening regular season debut for the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. Now on to those Timberwolves. It wasn't the Minnesota Timberwolves' dominant defense that Anthony Edwards credited for his team's shellacking of the Nuggets in Game 6 last night. It wasn't his own ascendant offense either, after Edwards led all scorers with 27 points and helped the Wolves outscore the Nuggets by 43 in 34 minutes that he was on the floor. No, according to Edwards, it was simply the presence of Minnesota's 36-year-old point guard that made the difference in the Wolves snapping a 3-game losing skid in the series to force a Game 7 on Sunday. We got Mike Conley back. That was it. Conley, a 17-year veteran, missed Tuesday's Game 5 because of a sore right Achilles. The Nuggets defense responded by attacking Edwards with double teams all night, and the Wolves missed Conley's ability to balance the court in Game number 5. Game 6, a different story. Conley had 13 points on 5 of 9 shooting. They got McDaniel's lockdown defense back, and Edwards 27 points to lead all scorers last night in an absolute romp in Game 6. If anything indicates, or if you look back at history moving forward earlier in the series, Minnesota should win Game 7. They dominated Game 1. They dominated Game 2. They were on the road, but they dominate Game 6 at home. They're familiar with Denver. They've played pretty good in Denver, 2-1 the record through the first 3 games there in the series. We'll wait and see. As I said in the open, anyone's best guess is my best guess as to what will happen. Get to the odds here in a moment, but first, some injury news in regards to the aforementioned Denver Nuggets. Clearly affected by his right elbow injury suffered early in last night's game, Denver Nuggets star guard Jamal Murray said he hopes it'll improve enough by Sunday's Game 7 Western Conference semi-game. Murray hurt his elbow when he ran into Rudy Gobert's screen and shot just 4 for 18 last night, finishing with 10 points in a 115-70 blowout loss to the Timberwolves with 2 days off before Game 7. Murray said he was uncertain if his elbow would feel better by then. I hope so for our team's sake. I hope I can get it right. Murray missed 9 of his first 10 shots last night. He was asked if the elbow loosened up and felt better as the game went on. Murray said with a laugh, clearly it did not. I put some numbing cream on it just so I didn't have to feel it every time it extended. But everybody gets hurt. So clearly not trying to make excuses, but one of the biggest stars for either team, Jamal Murray, not necessarily questionable to miss the game right now. We'll get to the injury status if that comes out, but that elbow injury could loom large into the Nuggets potentially winning at home to move on to the Western Conference Finals. Speaking of the odds for that game, dive into that in a moment. First things first, though, tonight, Knicks and Pacers. Vegas thinks it's going to go to 7. Indiana is a 5.5-point home favorite for tomorrow. OKC and Dallas. Vegas thinks this one's over in 6 as Dallas is home for Game 6, 3-2 series advantage. They're a 4-point home favorite. Money line for the Thunder, if you're all in on the young OKC team, plus 150 for the game. And then Sunday's initial odds, game time to be determined, Minnesota and Denver. It's a 5-point spread. This has moved quite a bit. I've looked at it about 3 or 4 times this morning. It was 4, 4.5, down to 4, back up to 5, and it's as big as I've seen it. Minnesota 5-point dog on the road in Denver, Game 7. Over-under, more defense on the way, according to Vegas, 198. The over-under score total, money line for the Timberwolves, plus 170. Those odds courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook. That's the latest and greatest from the NBA. Quickly, though, as we dive a little bit further into those odds, series odds, again, Minnesota and Denver. Minnesota, it's just the money line, plus 170, minus 205. For the Knicks and Pacers, Knicks are still minus 265 to win that. Dallas, a heavy favorite to win the series at minus 360. That puts OKC at plus 290 if you're looking for some value there on a big-time underdog. And Boston and Indiana, that series, Boston minus 900. Pacers plus 600 moving forward. Those spreads, that is already available, assuming Indiana's the team. But again, nothing on the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks series as we speak. And of course, your latest odds to hoist the trophy at the end of the year. Boston still the odds-on favorite, minus 130. Denver's odds just a little bit longer. They were about plus 260 yesterday on the show. Now plus 330, followed by the Mavericks, Timberwolves, Thunder, Knicks, and Pacers with the longest odds. Indiana plus 9,000 to win the NBA Finals. We're going to take an early break right now because we got a lot to get to in hour number 2 today on the program. We'll dive a little bit deeper into the Scotty Scheffler news and also provide you an update on his score for day 2 from Louisville and Valhalla. It's been pretty strange. Arrested this morning, got out and did play today, currently playing for Scotty Scheffler. We'll dive into that, everything you need to know about a frankly wild and obscure and tragic morning in Louisville. We'll dive into that and much, much more. But immediately next, it's the High Noon Showdown, always brought to you by the all-new Uncle Ed Specialty Meats out on the east side. You want to win big. Let's get it right now. Dial me up, 605-362-3776. First come, first serve. High Noon Showdown, gift certificate to the all-new Uncle Ed Specialty Meats in store, and so much more. By the way, pause the music. Happy Gilmore 2 is reportedly in the works. So if you're looking for a leg up on your competition for today's High Noon Showdown, I got some Happy Gilmore-related questions in the High Noon Showdown coming up next. Caller 1, caller 2. Let's do it. The High Noon Showdown on the other side. 605-362-3776. You want to win. You want to up the grill game heading into a warm, beautiful weekend. Dial us now. 605-362-3776. The High Noon Showdown is next on the Friday edition of Overtime.